Right, hello. This one's gonna be, I don't know, as short as I feel like it really. I'm not feeling great, as you can probably guess from the title. But I thought I'd get one in just to have consistency. I just want to have the consistency there. So, let's just go through the Bard class and all of its subclasses. Well, we've already really done the Bard class itself, but you know what I mean. We're starting off with creation. Creation's quite interesting. I think I feel like it's one of the newer ones. Yeah, Tasha's one. Remember seeing a lot of stuff. I think I've seen this one in play a bit. Remember correctly. First ability is whenever you use a bod, whenever you give a bardic inspiration, um, it creates a tiny mote of potential, which is kind of like they're like spiritual weapons in the sense that they're not really there, but like intangible, they're invulnerable, but they do something. And so then whenever they use it, they can add additional effect, which is quite cool. So it makes it so whenever you use it for a saving throw, ability check, or attack roll, it just has that little extra bit, which can be interesting. So if you use it for ability checks, um, when the creature rolls the bardic inspiration die to add it to ability check, the creature can roll the bardic inspiration die again and choose which result. So it just gives you an advantage effectively, which is cool. I mean, notably for this though is you can't really use this in you can't use this subtly because say you're persuading somebody, you try and persuade them and they go, well, what the hell is that giant? What the hell is that tiny mote of potential that popped into a colourful, harmless sparks after you tried to convince me of something? That feels like I'm being magically enchanted in some capacity, which I think is a quite interesting little thing. The attack roll one, pretty interesting. It just means when you use it, you use your body inspiration die to add to your attack roll. Um, it has this additional effect of making them do a con save, and if they fail, they take extra thunder damage equal to the body inspiration roll die, which is just like a little bit of extra damage. That one's the probably the most boring of the three, but it's the one that's going to come up the most. And you just have to have something like that for an attack roll one, really. The saving throw one is quite interesting. Um, because they assume that most saving throws that you're going to be using your bardic inspiration for are going to be damaging you. It gives you extra temp hit points equal to your charisma modifier, which is quite interesting. I think I like this a fair amount. It boosts your bardic inspiration, gives it little extra stuff it can do. Um, it definitely makes this subclass seem a lot different than the others. Another ability you get is Performance of Creation. As an action, you can channel the magic of the Song of Creation to create one non magical item of your choice in an unoccupied space within 10 feet of you. It must appear on a surface or liquid that can support it. Can't be DP. Value of the item can't be 20 times your bard level. The item must be medium or smaller. Glimmer softly and creates. Okay. Was I've seen this one in action a bit. What's quite useful about it, and what they don't seem to mention, there's nothing here that says you can't do this, which is if you're in a situation where one of your people has died and you've got a cleric, but they've used their diamond for Revivify, you can use this to get yourself a diamond so that you can revive them. And that's true for a lot of spells that will require consuming an item. Having something like this makes it really useful. In fact, the person I remember using this also had a weapon that consumed gems to get certain power ups, and because of that, they could sort of use this class to its full potential, which I thought was quite cool. I think this will come up a fair amount. Um, I think it's a very interesting ability. Next we have Animating Performance. As an action, you can animate a large or smaller non-magical item within 30 feet of you. Now this is the ability that I remember being used a lot. It makes this dancing item, which is a decent stat block, honestly. Like it's 10 plus 5 times your bard level in terms of health. That's pretty decent. Having a 16 AC is pretty good early on, and it's always good, right? It's gonna be fun anyway. Again, fucking poison immunity. It's gonna come up a lot, but what can you do? I just feel sorry for anyone who wants to use poison related stuff. I think this ability, the Irresistible Dance, that when a creature starts its turn within 10 feet of an item, the item can increase or decrease the walking speed of that creature. It will come up. Boosting your speed and lowering their speed is huge, because a lot of the time they will have 40-foot movement, so they're just faster than you. And this switches their places so that now you're just faster than them. This thing's just really good as not only does it do a load of damage, because I mean, if you look at this ability, it has an ability. Tell you what, let's get rid of this. It has you can't see it on the screen because I've cropped it a bit, but it has a force attack that does 1d10 plus proficiency bonus, and early on that's decent. That's a martial weapon, but with better damage types. Yeah, I love this ability, but I have a soft spot for summoning, and this is summoning, so I'm always gonna like it. Creative Crescendo. I think that's how you pronounce it. When you use Performance Creation, which is to make the object, you can create more than one. See, I think this goes very much into what I feel like this specific creation bard is made for, which is to be very supporty in the same sort of way that I said that artificers can be supporty, and it's that you are there to give helpful items to your allies so that they can continue to stay in the battle. And I like that. I like that idea. I think, me personally, on top of my reservation of ever really playing a bard because I personally don't like them, I think this ability I wouldn't be able to use to the fullest extent, and so I would be a bit off-putted using this ability. But I think in the right hands, this abilities and the abilities of the subclass in general has huge potential. Huge potential. Next is Eloquence. I think this one, it might be even newer of a class because, pardon me, it might even be newer because of the fact that I think this one came from the Theros book, and then maybe it was also added in Tasha's to the official. Yeah, it was. Okay. So this one's quite interesting because it goes very much into. This one felt to me like you don't flavor wise have to always choose an instrument for a bard, but this one was the most going. You do not need to choose an instrument. This one is, in my opinion, like the diplomacy college, the talk college, effectively. So third level ability, the first ability you get with it, Silver Tongue. You're a master at saying the right thing at the right time. When you make a charisma persuasion or charisma deception check, you can treat a d20 roll as a 9 or lower as a 10. I quite like this for the idea that it's just inherently you are so good at diplomacy that you can't physically roll below average. You can't do a bad job. I'm a bit hesitant always about abilities that get rid of the downside of probability, if you know what I mean. I don't like the fact that if I roll my dice, I can't get a 1 with this. Because to a certain extent, you want the unpredictability, because you have to sort of roll the punches. If you fail, then that might change the whole plot of the campaign, but that's what you're going for. But I like the ability in concept. Then there's unsettling words. As a bonus action, you can spend one of your bardic inspirations. Choose one creature you can see within 60 feet. Roll the bardic inspiration die. You must subtract that roll from their next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn. So this is quite interesting because it can be used utility to knock down the saving throw they're going to get for like a fireball, for example, from your wizard. But also this could be used quite interestingly to like used for you. So like if you're like trying to charm somebody, using this to just go, nah, you get 2 less than what you put. It might come up. I think this ability is interesting because this is sort of the flip side of the probability, in the sense that if you roll a 1 on it, that's not going to help. I think this ability is interesting. I don't know how much I'd use it. Next we have the 6th level ability. Your inspiring words are so persuasive that others feel driven to success. When a creature adds one of your bardic inspiration dice to its attack ability and uses it, and the roll fails, they keep the bardic inspiration. I like that. It's just like a little bit of a kind of like a you've lost, but it's not so bad because you get to try again with the bardic inspiration. You know, I quite like that ability. It just means that they have a little bit more of a staying power. And I think you won't notice it, but that will come up. I know I say this, I repeat a lot of phrases, but you won't notice this ability, but over time there'll be times in which you'll be like, oh, I'll use this bardic inspiration, that you wouldn't have had normally if it wasn't because of this ability. Universal speech. Getting the ability to make speech as an action. Okay, so it makes it so that, from what I've read, you can choose a bunch of people equal to your charisma modifier, which will be one of your highest stats, if not your highest stat, and you can just make them understand each other. Now, I don't know how often this comes up, but it says creature, so maybe it comes up for just monsters, right? Because they're creatures. So it's like maybe you're dealing with a pack of owlbears or something. I don't think it would impact. They're bear-like, so they probably stick in like families of 2. But anyway, you're like, okay, I use this ability. I choose a bunch of my party and a bunch of these owlbears, and I talk to them and I explain what I'm trying to do. I think this would be interesting. It's another one where you'll see this a lot, I feel like, with Bard, where none of their abilities are going to be innately battle related, which makes sense because they've got plenty that they can do anyway in battle, and they're not really meant to be battle focused, really. With some exceptions, of course. We'll come across as a subclass that is supposed to be battle focused. Infectious inspiration. When you successfully inspire someone, the power of your eloquence can now spread to someone else. And a creature within 60 feet of you adds one of your bardic inspiration die to it, and ability check attack, roll a saving throw, and succeeds. Use your reaction to give it to another person within 60 feet of you. Which is a fancy way of giving yourself, effectively, charisma modifier extra bardic inspirations. Because even if they fail, they'll keep it and they get to use it again. And if they succeed, you go reaction, I give it to another person. I like this a lot. it makes it so that whilst the creation person is summoning these dancing weapons and giving items to people that need them, you've got the eloquence one instead just constantly giving off this slight buff to everybody, and it's not actually that slight once you get to later levels because it scales at the level you'll be using it at. It'll be D12, just as like an extra D12 when you attack roll. Now you hit, getting hits in on a big boss or later levels is huge because the bosses are going to have either really high AC or so much health that you need literally every attack to hit just to get something through. Overall, Eloquence Bard, really fun. Realistically, in terms of like cool abilities you're gonna do, you're not gonna get a lot from the subclass. But what you will get is this constant, this face, because you will be the face as this person that is so good in these situations, making sure that you can negotiate whenever you want, and also keep up the bardic inspirations on everybody, just giving them that little bit extra. That means that they can survive for longer. Next is glamour. Those other two, I've looked at a bit. This one I've never looked at. Came from Xanathar's. I'm not really sure its specifics other than I remember it was related to the Feywild. So I'm going to read through the description of the actual class a bit just to check what it's all about. The College of Glamour is home to bards who've mastered their craft in the vibrant realm of the Feywild, or under tutelage of someone who dwelled there. Okay, so it's the Feywild College. The bards of this college are regarded with a mixture of awe and fear. The performances are stuff of legend, yeah, that's what you expect. They're eloquent in their speech and song. That one of them performs can cause captors to release the bard unharmed. Okay. Villainous bards of this company can leech off the community for weeks, misusing their magic to turn their hosts into thralls. So it's all about manipulating people. Okay. When you join the College of Glamour at 3rd level, you gain the ability to weave a song of fey magic that imbues your allies with vigor and strength, and speed. Bonus action, you expended one of your bardic inspirations to grant yourself a wondrous appearance. When you do, choose a number of creatures you can see that you can see, and that can see you within 60 feet of you, up to a number equal to your charisma modifier. Each of them gain 5 temp hit points. When they gain the temp hit points, it can immediately use its action to move up to... Oh! That's interesting. So you give them a little bit of health, which, even with the scaling, won't come up too much. Because 15th level, having 14 extra little points, I don't think it'll come up too much. But the fact you can repeatedly do this isn't bad. But the full, like, party move that you can get is kind of insane to me. That's a really good, like, kind of like a commander ability, really. You're manipulating the battlefield with tactics and stuff. That's pretty interesting. What's their other ability? Enthralling performance. If you perform for at least 1 minute, you can attempt to inspire wonder in your audience by singing and reciting a poem or dancing. At the end of your performance, choose a number of humanoids within 60 feet of you. Oh, why does it have to be humanoids? I hate that little ability. I hate that little thing there. Up to and equal to your modifier, charisma modifier, yep. Each target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or be charmed. While they're charmed in this way, the target idolizes you. It speaks glowingly of you to anyone who talks to it, and it hinders anyone who opposes you. Though it avoids violence unless it's already inclined to fight on your behalf. Takes damage if you attack it, or if it witnesses you attacking or damaging any of its allies. It ends. Okay. Oh, and interestingly enough, if they succeed in the saving throw, they don't know that you tried to charm them, which is important to put in there. I like this ability. I can see it being used for utility. I just wish it didn't say humanoid. And that's not because I want it to be a more powerful ability. I just feel like music can transcend like being a human. Like animals like music. Maybe with reciting a poem it doesn't work, but like you can wave that away with magic. But I feel like instinctively people like music can entrance and charm anyone. I mean, they always talk about like the Pied Piper and stuff, whereas whereas like playing the flute and he's controlling a bunch of rats, and I feel like you could do that with a normal bard. It's a shame you can't do it with this ability. That's my only complaint. These two are properly solid abilities. One that really helps you in combat, and it uses your bardic inspiration to fully like change up the battlefield. Like you can go from a situation where your backline's getting attacked by goblins or bandits, and they're having a hard time because they keep taking hits and stuff, to a situation where your front line has now moved back to be directly where the enemy is. Your back line has moved further back so that they're not in danger anymore, and they can it changes the battlefield, and they all have 10 hit points to sort of shoulder up all the damage they had taken. Mantle of Majesty. You gain the ability to cloak yourself in fey magic that makes others want to serve you. I can see why they have that bit about how they use it in an evil way. Because the more I look at this, the more I look at it as an evil sort of class, really. You can cast Command without expending a spell slot as a bonus action. You take the appearance of an unearthly beauty for 1 minute. Okay, as if you were concentrating on the spell. Okay, okay. You're not concentrating, but it acts as if you are concentrating for the rules on how to keep it going. During this time, you can cast Command as a bonus action. Okay, each year on your turn. So, any creature charmed by you automatically fails at saving throw against Command. So, is this like a form you turn into when you cast Command? You cast the first command as a bonus action without spending your spell slot, and then for a minute, every time you cast it, you can cast Command as a bonus action every turn. Okay. But you can only do it on one person at a time, right? No? Okay. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. That can be really useful in fights. Command's a very useful ability, especially because you don't necessarily have to choose these abilities here. Instead, you can choose whatever you want. Assuming the DM's fine with it. Um, but yeah, I quite like this because Command is very useful, and having the ability to constantly cast it will really help in a fight. Unbreakable Majesty. As a bonus, your appearance permanently gains otherworldly aspects that make you look more lovely and fierce. Interesting. I like little bits like that. In addition, as a bonus action, you can assume the magical majestic presence for 1 minute. So you can turn into this like majestic. I kind of look at it as like an archfey sort of look. Whenever a creature tries to attack you for the first time on its turn, the attacker must make a Charisma saving throw against your spell save DC, which at this point is going to be pretty freaking high. If they fail, they can't attack you on this turn. I like that. The idea that they're just like, I attack you, and you're like, no, you can't, because you failed. You can't hit such beauty. An successful save, it can attack you, but has disadvantage on any save throw it makes against your spells in the next turn. So even if they succeed, they have a debuff on them. That's cool, especially when you combine it with all the commands you can do. I quite like it. Glamour adds its own little thing to it. Not only does it have that command ability, which is really cool, but it also has this ability, which, as I talked about before, I really love, because it fundamentally can change how the game's going. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Lore. Okay. This one I have seen before, because it's one of the originals. This is the I want to have access, if I remember correctly, this is that I want to have access to a lot more spells. So this one's quite interesting. So, for one, you just get a load of proficiencies. It makes you even more of a skill monkey, which you already will be, because you had expertise. Which can make you be even more of a skill monkey, but you now have this, and on top of it, and jack of all trades. Cutting words. At 3rd level, you learn how to use your wit to distract, confuse, and otherwise sap the confidence of others. I'm terribly sorry about the coughing. I'm sort of going through. I think it's supposed to be COVID. I'm gonna try and switch off whenever I can, so that it doesn't come through as much, because I know that can be quite annoying. So, when you see a creature within 60 feet of you, make an attack roll, ability check, or damage roll. Use your reaction to expend one of your body inspiration dies and subtract that from the attack or saving throw. So it's you roll the body inspiration die as a reaction. You take that off of their attack roll, ability check, damage roll. The interesting about this is it says nothing about it being like shown. So otherwise that moat of creation that we saw the creation bard being able to make, that one specifically says, oh, it turns into a harmful bit of colourful dust when you use it. So they could realistically see it. This one, they don't. So this could be used to help people like persuade somebody if they made it an opposing role, which isn't necessarily always what it's done as. At 6th level, you learn 2 spells of your choice from any class. Spell you choose must be a level you can cast or cantrip. The spells chosen count as bard spells for you, but don't count against the number of bard spells you know. So this one's quite interesting because, as I said before, with it being the one that gives you access to a bunch more spells, this is the ability I was talking about. This can get you access to so many different things that you wouldn't normally get. If you wanted, you could get Eldritch Blast. I don't know if bards can get that, but you can get like druid specific things that bards don't get, cleric specific things, even ranger specific things. So yeah, I think this can give you a load of variety. I mean, I'm probably taking a bunch of damage related spells, but that's just me. Pillar skill. When you make an ability check, you can expend one of your bardic inspirations. Roll the bardic inspiration die. Add that number to your ability check. You can choose to after you roll the die for the ability check, but before you're told whether it succeeds or not. Sorry, I forgot that time. This is a cool ability. Bit lackluster nowadays for a 14th level ability, but it's what you can expect from one of the originals. Most of the time, at least in my experience, this bit, but before the DM tells you whether you succeed or fail, doesn't really come up, because what actually happens is you kind of know that you've failed, and so you use this ability, or the DM will mention that you failed, and then you decide, well, could I use this ability? Like, I didn't get a chance, and then you'll use it. Overall, lore, it's a bit lackluster compared to the other ones we've seen, but the other ones have the added bonus of coming out much, much later. I mean, those three might be the newest three. Sorry about that. They might be the newest three, and so that's sort of like a problem you've got there. Overall, it's not too bad. You're not going to feel too bad if you use this ability, only because you're a bard, so you get access to spells. If you didn't get access to spells, I think you'd feel a bit like luster, but that's just innately a problem with power scaling in general, with books, and also the difference in martial and magical classes. Spirits, another one I haven't really looked into. This one came from Van Richten's. Okay. So starting off, you learn guidance, which I quite like guidance as a spell. It's just a nice little spell that you can add onto people's things. Like, hey, I'm gonna help. Here, have a little bit of guidance. It's great. It's great in freaking Baldur's Gate if you can get past the bug where sometimes they just can't help you. But I digress. It's quite nice. It has a bit more range as well. Always nice. I like it when it's like, here's a cantrip, but we've buffed the cantrip so that you can. It's different for you. I like those abilities. It makes you feel special. Like you have something that no one else can have, even though you have the same spell, just it's slightly better. Spiritual focus. You employ tools that aid you in channeling spirits. This is another one that fits into the. You can kind of play this as a shaman subclass, and it's sort of shown here by like a crystal ball, a skull, spirit board. That's kind of like a Ouija board, really. And then this, which is definitely not a tarot cards, but they kind of seem like tarot cards. Yeah, it allows you to use that as your spellcasting focus. Is kind of what it's saying. And then later on, when you cast a spell through the spiritual focus, gain bonuses to damage or healing. That's not that bad. What's this one? There's a lot of stuff here. While holding your spiritual focus, you can use your bonus action to expend one use of your bardic inspiration. Okay. And you roll on this table to determine what happens. Okay. Trail of the clever animal. For the next 10 minutes, whenever the target makes an intelligence, a wisdom, or a charisma check, the target can roll an extra die immediately after rolling the d20 and add the extra die to the check. The extra die is the same type as your bardic inspiration die. So it gives you a 10-minute long. You always have a bardic inspiration for intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. That's cool. I don't know how often that'll come up. I mean, wisdom's a pretty decent saving throw one. Charisma one will also come up a fair amount. And occasionally intelligence if you're fighting mind flayers or other psychic related stuff. Tales of the Renowned Duelist. You make a melee spell attack against the target. On hit, they take force damage equal to 2 rolls of your bardic inspiration die plus charisma modifier. That just gives you a more powerful attack. And you're doing this as a bonus action. That's pretty decent. The target or another creature of its choice you can see within 5 feet, gains 10 hit points equal to your body inspiration die plus your charisma modifier. Okay, little 10 hit point thing. Tail of the runaway. The target can immediately use its reaction to teleport up to 30 feet. Okay. And choose a number of creatures within. Oh, okay. I like that. Like a full move. It's very reminiscent of the previous subclass we looked at. Tail of the Avenger. Any creature that hits the target with a melee attack takes force damage equal to a roll of your body inspiration die for 1 minute. That's useful. I think at this point, when we're about halfway through, not one off halfway through, I think this one's interesting and be vaguely useful. This one's probably the most lackluster. Just a basic attack. I like the 10 hit point one. The teleport is really fun. This is really fun and comes up. Tale of the Traveller. Sorry, I forgot to hit the button there. I need to put that a hotkey. Tale of the Traveller. The target gains 10 hit points equal to a roll of your body exploration die plus your bard level. While it has these 10 hit points, the target has increased move speed and a 1 plus 1 AC. Okay, that's useful. Giving them like a obviously worse haste, but you know, you don't have to keep concentration on it. It's not bad. How long does it say? Wow, it has them. Oh, I like that. Tale of the Beguiler. Target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take psychic damage equal to 2 rolls, and the target's incapacitated. Jesus, that's a very powerful ability. That's a very, very powerful thing to have. Tale of the Phantom. Target becomes invisible until the end of its next turn, or until it hits a creature with an attack. If the target hits a creature with an attack during the invisibility, the creature takes necrotic damage equal to a roll of your body inspiration die, and is frightened. Not even a roll. So from what I can see of this ability, it's very good. Because not only do you get the attack that you normally get, you also get the extra damage and you frighten it. That's huge. It's obviously not for a long period of time, but it's something. That's huge. Each creature of your Tale of the Brute. Each creature of the target's choice it can see within 30 feet must make a strength save. On a failed, target takes thunder damage equal to 3 rolls. Jesus. Guess you do have a saving throw there, and is knocked prone. They take half damage. Oof, Jesus, that's pretty fucking powerful. Tail of the Dragon. Target spews fire from their mouth. Each creature in the area must make it. Okay, you have a fire breath equal to 4 rolls. That's huge as well. These later ones are much better, but I'm guessing that's the point. Tail of the Angel. The target regains hit points equal to 2 rolls of your bardic inspiration die and plus your charisma modifier. You end one of the following conditions. The fact that it is petrified is quite good. I know that feels like it shouldn't be a big deal, but it actually is, because when it comes up, it's game ending. Paralyzed will come up a fair amount, so will blind and deafened, poisoned, So this is if you roll max on your body inspiration die. You invoke an incomprehensible, that's the word, fable from an otherworldly being. Target must succeed on an intelligence saving throw. See, here it is, it's psychic related stuff. Or takes psychic damage equal to 3 rolls of your body inspiration die and be stunned. The stunned is huge. That's the big thing. Looking at these abilities, the only one that's a bit lackluster is the one that you kind of expect to be in there, which is to just do a basic attack. All of them seem really cool, and I really like this ability. Based on what I know about this stuff, I'm assuming now that later on we'll get a way where we could choose these, or they'll scale. They're really the only two ways they go. Spirit Session. You conduct an hour-long ritual channeling spirits, which can be done during a short or long rest. I like that little thing there, so that people can't just go, well, no, you can't do that while you're doing a short rest. Conduct the ritual with a number of willing creatures equal to your proficiency bonus, including yourself. At the end of the ritual, you temporarily learn one spell of your choice from any class. The spell you choose must be a level equal to the number of creatures that conducted the ritual or less. The spell must be a level you can cast, and it must be from the school of divination or necromancy. That makes sense because necromancy equals spirits. I like that thing of like equal to the number of people you use, which means like you have to have the party in on it, which means you actually have like it can be used as party interaction things. It's like, hey, I got everyone together here to like read their tarot reading or commune with spirits that have helpful advice, and then thanks to that I have a 5th level spell that I can use from the druid, spell book. Mystical connection. You have the ability to nudge the spirits of the tales from beyond towards certain tales. This is what I was talking about. Whenever you roll on the spirit tales table, you can roll the number twice and choose which of the two effects to bestow. If you roll the same number on both dice, you can ignore the number and choose any effect. When determining the stories, though, consider what unites them. Do all feature from archetype figures from constellation, childhood, imaginary? Oh, I like that. I feel like you could have that much earlier when you get the actual ability. But I like that little bit of extra. Consider what each of these things are. Like, I feel like you would have a small story. If you really wanted to, you could go through the whole thing and have a small story for every one of these things. Like, oh, the clever animal was this animal that I watched as a young kid. Like, I watched this crow as a young kid figure out how to get this worm out from under a rock without physically being able to move the rock by, and no tapping on the other side so that it would run to the side it what actually was and then eated it. Like, and that's what I tell to give this ability. I'm just thinking these on the fly, but I quite like that. Overall, Spirits is quite good. I quite like it, especially because it has a little bit of narrative tools there. I put this one physically less powerful than Creation and Eloquence and probably Glamour, but I put it slightly higher because I like the utility. Swords. College of the Swords. This is the one I was mentioning before. These are the stunt people, really. Sword swallowing, the circus jugglers, the knife throwers. They entertain with their skills. Which is like a circus or something, or like a street performer. But with all of those people, they're like, oh shit, they must be like incredibly trained at that stuff. This one gives you medium armor and gives you a scimitar. That's how you immediately realize, okay, that this is actually. This one means business. This means front line. Personally, I'd want to use like a. I don't know, in my head, I see it as like a rapier dagger combo. Because my whole shtick is that I'm like a sword swallower and a knife thrower in a circus. But that's just me. I mean, I literally just came up with that on the spot. And I could if I went to weapon fighting. Although you probably wouldn't want to use a dagger because that's just nerfing yourself, although I'd probably do something like that. So yeah, you get to choose one of these two fighting styles. I wish you got access to more, but what can you do? Dueling, which makes sense, and then two weapon fighting for the quickness. I like both of these. This one to me feels like the sword swallower one. This one feels like the knife thrower one. I know they weren't made for that kind of stuff, but that's how I sort of see it. Flourishes. Now these are the big things. I remember seeing these. When you take the attack action, your movement speed increases by 10 feet until the end of your turn. And if a weapon attack that you make as part of this action hits a creature, you can use one of the blade flourishes. And there's three of them. There's the defensive one, which buffs your AC, equal to what you roll on a bardic inspiration die. And you expend a bardic inspiration die. Then there's a mobile one, which you expend a bardic inspiration die to deal extra damage to the target you hit. Target is equal to your bardic inspiration die roll, and then you push them 5 feet, plus a number of feet equal to what you roll on the die. So you could push them like, you're only pushing them like 10 feet max, really, because it's done in 5 feet blocks, right? You immediately use your reaction to move up your walking speed to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the target, so you can move closer to them. That's not what I expected, but I quite like that ability, just to keep on them. Slashing Flourish. Now this is just a straight damage one, if I remember correctly. You expend one of your body inspiration dice to cause it to deal extra damage to the target you hit and to any other creature of your choice that is within 5 feet of you. What I like about that is that it means that you effectively get a cleave. And I like cleaves. I think cleaves should be more thing in more like arsenals, really. Overall, I love flourishes. They definitely make you into a bard that feels like you're still a bard even though you're melee. Extra attack, basic thing you need if you're going for a melee version of a subclass. A melee version of a class that normally doesn't do melee. What the heck is this? Oh, I'll ignore it. Master Flourishes. Whenever you use a Blade Flourish, you can roll a d6 and use it instead of expending it. You roll a d6 and use it instead of expending a Bardic Inspiration die. Oh, so you constantly can do a Blade Flourish without expending a Bardic Inspiration? In a way in which you could expend a Bardic Inspiration die if you wanted to. I quite like that. At the end of your capstone ability, you're really late in the game. You're just constantly doing flourishes because you're a master at this now, right? It makes sense. And it allows you to also be a bit more utility. Now, Tragedy. This, if I remember correctly, is technically the newest one because it comes from the new Matt Mercer book. But I haven't really seen anything about this. College of Tragedy. Now, I like these darker ones. It's just like, it's the one that talks about all the sad songs, all the ballads that are talking about how I'm so sad now that you've left me kind of stuff. Which, I mean, they have in other bars as kind of like a side thing. When you join the College of Tragedy at 3rd level, you learn to harness the beauty in failure. Whenever you or an ally within 30 feet of you roll a 1, on a d20 roll for an attack roll or ability check or a saving throw. You can use your reaction to soliloquize and regain one of your bardic inspiration features. One of your uses of your bardic inspiration. So it's like, oh, don't worry, even though you've gotten a 1, that doesn't matter. You can use it. I use the reaction. I at least get something from it. Like, it's not the worst thing. I like that. It really fits in with the theme. I was expecting it to say as a reaction you make it so it isn't a 1, but it's no, like, there was tragedy. I've just learned from it. Starting your 3rd level, you exploit a foe's peril to install deep feelings of sorrow and doom. When you or an ally you can see forces a creature to make a saving throw, you expend one of your bardic inspirations to change the type of saving throw to charisma save instead. That's huge because there's not. You will find that there are many enemies you fight that are like, I'm bulky, I'm strong, I have a load of constitution, strength, I've got a load of, I can hit you really, really hard, but I have horrendous charisma. Because I wasn't made for that. I was made as a killing machine. See that with a couple of demons. The target fails a save, roll a bardic inspiration die. The target must take psychic damage equal to the result and is played with regret for 1 minute. The target is reduced to 0 points during this time and can speak. They are magically compelled to utter dark, poetic final words before succumbing to their injuries. It doesn't do anything. They're plagued with regret for 1 minute. It doesn't do anything other than makes them regret what they do after they die, and I kind of love that little like narrative flourish there. Unless I'm reading that wrong, does plagued with regret do anything? Doesn't seem like it. I love that. I love that little ability. At 6th level, you learn to weave the magical narrative that draws out the fatal arrogance of your foes. When a creature scores a crit hit against you or an ally within 60 feet of you that you could see, you can use your reaction and expend one of your bardic inspiration to target the attacking creature and invoke the story of their downfall. Just tell them about how they're going to lose. For 1 minute until the target suffers a crit hit, any attack against the target scores a crit hit on a 18 to 20. I love it. I love the freaking flavour here. It's all about tragedy, whether it's learning from tragedy that happens to you or making sure that if an enemy gets something good happening, that you tell them how they're eventually going to fall. I love that. Also at level 6, your words can twist the power of fate to create triumph from the promise of future despair. When you make an attack roll or saving throw, you can gain a +10 bonus to the roll. For the next attack roll or saving throw you make takes a -10 penalty. If not used, the penalty disappears when you finish a short or long rest. Oh, so you can go all in on one attack. I love that. I love the fucking flavour of that. Because there's still tragedy. It's just that you're twisting it so that you get the high before the low. Such a cool ability. Tale of Hubris. At 14th level, the crit hit range for this feature increases from 18 to 20 to 17 to 20. That's fine. Either way, it's coming up. Upon reaching 14th level, you touch a willing creature as an action and empower it with tragic heroism. For 1 minute, the creature is surrounded by mournful music and ghastly singing, granting it the following benefits and drawbacks. Let's have a read of these. After I have a cough, the creature has a +4 bonus to AC. Okay, that's good. There's advantage on attack rolls and saving throw. Okay, that's good. When the creature hits a target with a weapon attack or spell attack, the target must take an additional 1d10 radiant damage. Okay, that's good. Any threat attack against the creature scores a crit hit on a. Oh, oh, that's bad. And the creature immediately drops to 0 points and is dying. That I wonder if that ability is good. It gives you advantage on all your attack rolls. It gives you an extra d10 damage. Gives you +4 AC. But they can crit you really easily. And you die at the end of it. I don't know how I feel about that, but I fucking love it. I fucking love the flavor of it. I think this is flavor number one, and I guess it shows that it's been done by Matt Mercer because he's really good at flavoring that whole class around tragedy. I really like that. I think it's not very powerful, but I think that doesn't matter because the flavor behind it is so fun. I love that ability. I don't know if the final Catstone ability, where you buff somebody but they die and they can easily be crit, is going to come up because I don't know if people are going to want to use it. And when someone's too low level, they'll just die anyway. In my opinion. But hey, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm probably wrong. Let's be honest. Valor. By the way, this will be a shorter one. I realised because of how much I'm coughing, I'm not actually up for this, so I can't just not finish Bard, but as soon as I finish Bard, I'll come off. It'll probably be an hour, maybe an hour 20. It'll definitely be an hour 20. College of Valor. When you join the College of Valor, you gain a proficiency with medium armor, shield, and martial weapons. So this is another melee version of it. I haven't read this one either. I'm guessing this is a Viking. Yeah, Viking sort of Skald look for it. I like this. I've talked about this kind of one before, and I didn't realise this existed. You gain proficiency in medium armor, shields, and martial weapons, so you're even tankier than the sword one. Third level, you learn to inspire others in battle. A creature that has a bardic inspiration die from you can roll that die and add the number rolled to a weapon damage roll it just made. A creature that has bardic inspiration die from you can roll the die and add the number rolled to the weapon damage roll that it just made. Okay, so you can use it for weapon damage instead of all the other stuff you could use it for. Thirdly, when an attack roll is made against the creature, you can use its reaction to roll the bardic inspiration die and add that number to its AC. That's pretty huge. This doesn't make sense at all because you know what your AC is. But I like that ability, and it shows you're pretty powerful. Extra attack. I'm a bit disappointed with it whenever they get an extra attack as an ability because it's a boring ability, but I know they have to have it there. At 14th level, you've mastered the art of weaving spellcasting and weapons into a single harmonious act. When you use your action to cast a bard spell, you can make a weapon attack as a bonus action. That's okay. It's not great. I can't help but notice here that actually I feel like the flourishes do more for you in this. I like the idea of a Scald, but they haven't really, to me, done much to this. It reminds me of a worse Eldritch Knight in the sense they haven't even given you cool features that merge the fact that you do spellcasting and magic. Other than the one sort of capstone ability, which realistically more than half, like maybe 90% of people will never get to. So it's a bit lackluster to me. I don't particularly like that one, if I'm being completely honest. Whispers. Now I've looked at this one, and this is the one that I feel like of the official classes, before seeing Tragedy, which is now my new top, um, this was my top. So it's kind of like psychic related, which I really like, and terror and uncovering secrets. When you join it, you gain the ability to make your weapon attacks magically toxic to a creature's mind. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend one of your bardic inspiration dice to deal an extra 2d6 psychic damage to your target. You only do this once per round. Damage increases, it scales. It scales pretty fucking high for the like at 15th level. That's huge. But I guess you are expending a bardic inspiration die, which makes sense. At 3rd level, you learn to infuse innocent-seeming words with insidious magic that can inspire terror. You would speak to a. If you speak to a humanoid alone for at least 1 minute, you can attempt to seed paranoia into its mind. At the end of the conversation, the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or be frightened of you or another creature of your choice. Target frightened in this way for 1 hour until it is attacked or damaged, or until it witnesses you attacking or damaging allies. If the target succeeds on the saving throw, the target has no hint that you tried to frighten it. I don't know when this comes up. Is it inherently supposed to be a narrative thing where he's frightened of you, so maybe he gives you more information? Or is it supposed to be something you use in combat? No, it's impossible. It can't be used in combat. It takes a minute long. So yeah, it's supposed to be an interrogation kind of technique. I kind of like that if narratively your DM's like... If narrative your DM is fine with that. But if they're not, that's going to be really annoying. And what I mean by that, because I realised that I was just... I knew what I was saying, but maybe you won't. Is if your DM allows you to play off the frightened as they'll actually not just have the mechanical benefit of like running away from you, but is also more willing to give information, then this will work very well. Mantle of Whispers. You get the ability to adapt a humanoid personas. When a humanoid dies within 30 feet of you, you can magically capture its shadow using your reaction. You retain the shadow until you use it or you finish a long rest. You can use the shadow as an action. When you do so, it vanishes and magically transforms into a disguise that appears on you. You now look like the dead person, but healthy. While you're in disguise, you gain access to all the information that humanoid would freely share with a casual acquaintance. General details about background and personal life. If information is enough to pass yourself off as the person. Another creature can see through your disguise by succeeding on a wisdom insight check, contested by your charisma deception check. You get a +5. Sorry about that. I was spamming the button, but I couldn't hit it. I like this because it makes it so that they can see through it, but you have a bit more of a higher check on it, which is cool. And I like the fact that it narratively is you stealing a shadow and wearing the shadow as your own clothes. That's really cool. Yeah, generally just like that ability. Shadow Law. Let me just have a little cough. At 14th level, you gain the ability to weave dark magic into your words and tap into your creature's deepest fears. As an action, you can magically whisper a phrase that only one creature of your choice within 30 feet of you can hear. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. It automatically succeeds if it doesn't share a language with you or can't hear you. Successful saving throw, the whisper sound like unintelligible mumbling and has no effect. On a failed save, the target is charmed by you for the next 8 hours. Or until all the normal stuff. It interprets the whispers as descriptions of its most mortifying secret. You gain no knowledge of the secret, but the target's convinced you know it. The charmed creature obeys your commands for fear that you will reveal its secrets. It won't risk its life for you or fight for you, unless it already is inclined to. It grants you favours and gifts it would offer to a close friend. When the effect ends, the creature has no understanding of why it held you in such fear. I like that. Depending on how you take this wording, if it forgets that you knew a secret that you don't know. I hope it's like that, because that would be really cool. I quite like whispers. As I said before, I'm a huge fan of it. It gives you a lot of out of combat stuff, while still having that psychic blade that allows you to do something in combat. Overall, really like it. So giving a quick rundown of these. Bard has generally a decent selection of subclasses, in my opinion. I think a lot of the magic classes do. It's the martial classes, which is a shame because, as I've said before, the martial classes are generally more underwhelming because of how weak they are in comparison. But having it where their subclasses also don't help them in that aspect is not great. But generally, these are all good. Creation, I'm really a big fan of. Creation was really fun with the dancing items and being able to utility help everyone. Eloquence was really good because you had the persistent bodic inspirations that were there, and also you can really help out as a face. The glamour one was really cool because of all the Feywild specific magic that you got access to and all the little utility stuff you had. You're going to get a lot of utility from subclasses, so I will be saying that a lot. I think the lore one, bit lackluster in my opinion. Wasn't my favourite. Still not bad. Spirits, I really liked their ability it got. I really like all of its abilities, but specifically the rolling on the table and the narrative of having all the little things with them. This one is probably better than all the previous ones in terms of narrative. Swords, it's the fighty one. It's the one that gets the most fighting related stuff, but I really like its capstone, allowing you to constantly use flourishes. Tragedy. Tragedy is the best flavoured one out of all of them, which makes sense because it was made by Matt Mercer. It's all about advantages, but you also have disadvantages that come with them, or it's getting an advantage from a disadvantage, or giving them a disadvantage when they have an advantage. I quite like that because it really fits the tragedy. Whether it's putting tragedy on your enemy, or giving someone a rise before they get a fall on your ally side, and balancing that. I think it was a really good class. Valor, very lackluster. Probably my least favourite class, if I'm being completely honest. Because it gives you melee, but it gives you no specific thing narratively to use to make it feel like you are having this sort of combining of melee and spells. And that really annoys me because even the Eldritch Knight has a couple of abilities that are like, when you do this spell, you get this effect that helps your melee, or when you do this melee, you can do better with it because of a spell. Like, it has this merging of the two that makes it feel like you don't just have two different classes that aren't related to each other, but you have a merger of the two, with obviously one being more on the top. Whispers I really liked. It was one of my favourites. The psychic damage on the thing will always scale, so you're always doing something. Plus, you have those out of combat abilities that allow you to disguise or interrogate people that I think will really come up. I think if I had to play a bard, bullet to my head, well, not bullet, gun to my head, it'd probably be tragedy or whispers. But I think I'm leaning towards whispers because I could see a character work would work really well with that, like a kind of like a sort of personality of like a noir detective, but without any of the goodness that comes from it, like a bit more of an evil. I get what I want by whispering words of terror to these enemies, but has the mentality of like a detective. That I could see with a Whisperer's one. Tragedy, I feel like I don't immediately see a character that I want to play with it, so that's the reason why I'm less likely to choose that one. Overall, though, Bard, I think has out of all the classes, there's only really two that are lackluster, and they're both the ones that are the oldest, which makes sense. There's very rare situations where um there's very rare situations where your oldest classes, your PHB classes, subclasses, are not the worst ones because they've all been outscaled. I mean, just going on a side tangent, I played a cleric, which we would have gone into if I felt up for it, and it's a light cleric, and their channel divinity gives you a reaction. Well, it's not the channel divinity, sorry. It's just their ability they get as a light cleric, where they have a reaction, kind of like a localized flashbang. That if someone tries to attack you, you impose disadvantage, which sounds cool, except for the fact it has this other thing on there where it's like if it has an alternate vision, it doesn't work. As if like even if you could see in another vision, if you still had the base vision, it would still stun you, in my opinion. But hey, and also it has this an additional thing where you realise that silvery barbs that was added that people use is a better version of my ability. And a lot of clerics that you'll see, well, not a lot of clerics, but there is a cleric, I don't remember off the top of my head, that has effectively the same thing but just strictly better. So that's something you're going to come across. So having it where even your worst ones are okay. I'm not calling them bad, they're okay. Having even your worst ones just be okay is great. That's huge. Overall, yeah. I mean, this will just be me for during this one. I know it's a very short stream. It's about half the amount I normally do. But realistically, I didn't think I was going to get a stream in. I thought I was feeling okay now, but the more I talk, the more I start coughing, and the more I just don't feel like I'm having fun with it when I do it like that. But I wanted to keep the consistency, so this will be the one for the week. I'll try and do another one somewhere in the weekday because I like doing it in the weekday. But I don't like doing it Mondays. I'll probably try to do one on Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Depends on if I want to play with my friends or not on that day. That'll be all. Oh, quick thing before I go. Don't know if you've noticed, but I've done a bit of changing on the old channel. Putting that I effectively went in Word, looked at the fanciest like writing, put JDM, and then put the background. Yeah, that's. I just thought I'd make it seem like I'm actually using this as some variety. I think I need to go into my description thing when I figure out how to do this. I sort of just put all my socials and how you donate to me and stuff. Not actually expecting that, but it makes me look more professional, if you know what I mean. And although I don't necessarily expect ever to make this into a career, I want to look professional doing it. It's like you use proper quality tennis rackets if you're playing tennis, even though you don't think you'll ever become, a tennis champion. So I'll try and do some of that stuff. Maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll see. Anyway,